Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about the use of Minolta alpha mount lenses with Sony's NEX range cameras. I have two here, which is my Sony 5N and my Sony FS100. The E-mount lenses are fine, and the nice thing about them is that they have autofocusing, but there are a few things I don't like about them. First of all, the price. They tend to be quite expensive because they're new lenses, and the manual focusing on these lenses is absolutely awful because the actual focus rings are not directly connected to the motor, so you are actually focusing electronically, and focusing manually with these lenses is absolute nightmare. The autofocusing side of the E-mount lenses is fine for stills photography. It's also okay for simple autofocusing during the video where subject doesn't move that much. But when it comes to track and focus, let's say in sports photography, wildlife, or someone just moving forward really quickly towards the camera, they are not very good for that kind of stuff. If you ever tried focusing on a fast moving subject with a manual focus lens, you'll know how difficult it is to track such object or subject, racing car, animal, whatever it is. And that's where you would want to use sophisticated autofocusing system. There's no shame in using autofocusing if that's the better option for capturing a sharp, crisp image. And I always wanted this more sophisticated autofocusing system in my Sony FS100, and that led me to investing into this little adapter, which is Sony's LA-EA2 adapter. This electronic adapter allows me to use Sony alpha lenses and allows me to use the phase detection autofocusing. I have the Minolta alpha mount lenses here because they're cheaper than the current Sony lineup, and they do work fine for autofocusing, although the motor is a bit noisy. And while this adapter is not cheap, it's quite advanced inside. It has the Sony's translucent mirror technology inside, which is again found in current Sony Alpha cameras. So it works a lot like Metabone's adapter would work with Canon lenses on NEX range cameras. If you're familiar with that, if you've been using something like Canon 5D or any other DSLR and then you moved on to something like FS100 or FS700, you probably know about the Metabones or RJ electronic adapters, and this does the similar job. You control your aperture, you switch from manual to automatic focusing within the camera as well. You have full range of f-stops when you are focusing manually or using camera for stills. But when you want to use these lenses with this adapter for video, unfortunately you are stuck with f3.5. which is not ideal when you are investing in such lenses like this 28 f2 or 50s f1.7. You can't take advantage of the fast aperture on this lens, and it kind of sucks. It's not exactly perfect solution. I didn't know that when I bought the adapter. I was hoping that by buying this fast 51.7 I will be able to get fast autofocusing with this adapter, and I did feel a bit cheated. And the worst thing about being stuck at that aperture is that you can't even step it down. Let's say you're in bright daylight conditions, you can't even step down the lens to f22 or f16, whatever it will go to. Another thing worth mentioning, which will be important to other filmmakers like myself, is that when you are using alpha mount lenses with this adapter on Sony NEX 5N and probably other smaller NEX cameras, when you start recording, the camera sort of goes into auto mode and you don't have any control over your shutter speed. So basically your f-stop is locked and your shutter speed will go any way it wants. You have control only over your ISO. So if I press record now, if you can see there, the camera is running at 1/25th of a second and I can't change anything. I can't do anything about that slow shutter speed. The camera thinks that it has to open up that shutter to give me enough light in these low light conditions, and this is really annoying. In daylight it will go to anything like 1/300th of a second or even higher. It will barely, if ever, stay at 1/50th. So if you're thinking of using any alpha mount lenses with Sony LA-EA2 adapter on something like Sony NEX5N, keep in mind that you will lose all the ability to adjust your shutter speed and your f-stop if you want to get that face detection autofocusing. If I switch to manual focusing, let's see. Now that I switch to manual focusing and I start recording, I now have my control over shutter speed and I have my control over my f-stop again. So this is the trade-off of the face detection autofocusing. If you need this feature and you want this feature, you will have to put up with these massive limitations. If you don't want autofocusing, you will be fine using alpha mount lenses with your NEX range camera. You will not find any limitations at all. Fortunately, the shutter speed limitation does not apply to Sony FS100. I still retain full control of my shutter speed when using alpha mount lenses in autofocusing mode with this camera. I think it's probably the same for FS700. If you are the same like me and you were wondering if you should probably invest in some alpha mount lenses to get yourself a better autofocusing, hopefully now you get a better idea of what it actually involves and the limitations that you will get when you are using alpha mount lenses on NEX range cameras. I hope that this video was useful to some of you guys. Probably will not apply to all of you, but to Sony NEX shooters who've been considering using alpha mount lenses, hopefully this has been helpful to you guys. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.